Hey, what's up? So I'm a somewhat active Garandthum viewer, and I just watched his most recent video, where he goes over all the different guns being used in the Ukraine conflict. And I figured I'd do the same, but in Phantom Forces. So first up is the AK-74. This is one of the most common firearms being used in Ukraine right now, because, I mean, they're just basically everywhere. It's basically akin to how you would see like M16A4s and M4A1s in like Afghanistan that US soldiers would be using. Basically, that's how it is in Ukraine. Except you see both sides using this. Not much recoil, and the damage and damage range is pretty good. It has 34 damage in close range, making it a 3-shot to kill. And the rate of fire is 650 rounds per minute, so while that's a bit slow for assault rifles, that's still fairly decent. And the minimum damage of 23 makes it so it's still a 5-shot at farther ranges. This is actually one of my favorite PDWs, even though it's more of a carbine, but whatever, that's an argument for another day. It has a, I think, 735 rate of fire with a 3-shot in close range, making it a pretty quick time to kill. But it is a little bit lackluster at range, because the recoil is more horizontal than like the AK-105 or something. And honestly, it just acts more like an SMG than a normal carbine, I feel like. I also really like using this with the 7.62 conversion, because, I mean, the recoil is crazy, but the damage is also pretty good. Now, yet another AK variant, the RPK-74. Basically just a bigger version of the AK-74, to be honest. Pretty similar stats, too. Just pretty much the main advantage here is I think it has a better damage range, better penetration depth, probably better velocity. And it also has an increased magazine size. It has 45 instead of 30, which is quite a significant increase. And this is one of my favorite light machine guns to use, just because of the fact that it's not really a light machine gun, but more of an assault rifle. The recoil, I feel like, is much easier to control than the RPK. And I used to prefer the RPK over the RPK-74, but now I'm definitely the opposite. So the next gun that Garandthum mentioned in his video was the PKM, but there is no PKM in Phantom Forces, very sadly, because it's one of my favorite guns, in fact. So I think the most accurate comparison would be the M60, even though they're vastly different, and you can argue in the comments if you want, I don't really care. I mean, the rate of fires are somewhat similar. I feel like the ammunition used in both of them are also pretty similar. And I feel like they would perform similarly in-game. Like if the PKM was added in-game, I feel like it would be somewhat similar to how the M60 is. But yeah, I'll give it a go. Alright, I actually switched servers so I could get Metro or Warehouse, because I absolutely love using the M60 with armor piercing on either of those two maps. Because you can just wallbang so much. It's incredibly fun to use. Like if you wallbang someone just through a couple walls, then they would just call you a hacker, and then it's just amazing. Plus, you can just do that. You can just, like, blind fire around a corner. Like that, kinda. And now the SVD, which is a semi-automatic sniper rifle that I actually don't see many people using in this game. Like, granted, it's definitely not the best, but it's probably one of my favorites. Mostly because it looks really cool, especially with the wood stock. And, I mean, genuinely, I feel like it could get a buff. It's not that strong right now. The 10mm, like, Sabo rounds are actually really fun to use, though, because they have a much higher velocity. And, I mean, it just makes the gun better, to be honest. The only issue with these Sabo rounds are that it ruins the damage potential in close range, because it actually inverts the damage, similar to the M82 or M107, I mean. You see it does 45 and then it rises up to 80, meaning while it's normally a one-shot to the torso up to like 70 meters with the normal ammo. Once you use the 10mm, or I guess I should say 3.5mm actually, because that's how large the actual projectile is, then even to the head, I don't think it'll no, it doesn't even one-shot. I guess past 40 studs it'll start one-shotting around there, maybe 50 studs, it'll one-shot to the head. And it also increases the rate of fire and decreases the recoil, which is pretty nice. Let me see if I can actually get some decent clips with this. I'm very bad with snipers, so this is going to take me a couple hours. Oh. Okay, whatever, that should do it. Now, getting into something kind of unexpected, the STG-44. According to Garethum in his video, he said since so many were captured at the end of World War II, these have seen combat in quite a number of wars. Even like in Afghanistan and stuff, you can find them. So in Phantom Forces, these shoot at a pretty slow pace. It's only 500 RPM, but it has a 1.1 torso multiplier with 46 damage in close range. So it's actually a 2-shot to the torso until you reach like 30 studs or something like that. I think it's 40 studs. The recoil isn't that bad, but it does have quite a lot of horizontal sway. Still, it is a pretty good gun. I quite like it. In fact, it's more like a battle rifle than an assault rifle. Now, the PPSH-41. This is another World War II gun. In-game, it has a blisteringly fast fire rate, as well as having a 71-round drum magazine, so it's very well suited towards close range. It's a 4-shot to kill, which actually isn't bad considering the very high rate of fire. It's kind of just a bullet hose. The recoil is also kind of hard to control, though, and the muzzle flash, too, is also very apparent. This is like one of the few guns I would actually consider using a flash hider on. At least if you're using the iron sights. If you're using like some kind of optic, I don't have that many kills. Probably a Cobra sight would be good. Yeah, can't really see the flash that much with the Cobra sight or something tall. Now the next gun that he mentioned in his video is the Bren 2, which that's not in Phantom Forces, but this is going to be kind of a stretch. It does kind of look like the Type 20, so I'm just going to use the Type 20. I have not used this in a while, damn. I thought the recoil was a lot different. Apparently they changed it, or maybe it's just my loadout. Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember it being kind of similar to an AK in basically every regard. It has a slightly higher rate of fire. The damage and time to kill is basically the exact same as like an AKM or something. But apparently the recoil is actually better than an AKM. Kind of smooth. I don't know how to describe it. Also, I do remember you can use like a 60-round drum magazine with this too, which kind of makes it into like a weird squad support weapon. That's what that would pretty much be. Jesus, I am doing horrible right now with it though. Now the Scar H, I was actually surprised seeing this being used in Ukraine too, because it's not really that popular. Like, as far as I can remember, it was kind of a failure for its original goal. But apparently in Ukraine they're using it because it's a 308 or 7.62x51, actually. I haven't used it much after it got changed, but it used to be a little easier to control. But I think it's still a pretty solid choice. It's only like rank 20 or something. For something this good, that's a steal. That's very high damage. You can even equip Hollow Point with this because it has 42 damage. You could equip Hollow Point and just make it a 2-shot anywhere on the body in close range. Now the M4A1, which I consider to be probably the best starter weapon, it's level 0, so yeah. This is probably my favorite starter weapon. I actually haven't used it much on this account, at least. I have used it on others, so, well, I literally have nothing. Okay, whatever. It's a 3-shot to kill. I think it's like 750 rate of fire or something like that. Very quick. And it's pretty similar to the Krinkov, to be honest. Maybe even a little better than the Krinkov, because I think the recoil is a little easier to control. Nice red laser over there. Yeah, this is genuinely a pretty good gun. I feel like I should probably use this more on my main account. And now, finally, the FNC. That was the last gun in Garanthumb's video. Now, we don't have an FNC, but we do have an FAL, quite a few FALs in Phantom Forces. I'm gonna go with the... Oh, right, it's a carbine. I'm gonna go with the FAL 50.63 Para. I don't know what this loadout is. I haven't used this in a long time. But the FNC, it's made by FN. So again, this is kind of a stretch. The FAL is also made by FN. The FNC just uses like 5.56, and it even looks kind of similar too, so I'm just gonna make it look similar. That's pretty accurate, I think. Let me take off the skin. Yeah, let me take off the sight too. Yeah, that's basically an FNC. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever even actually used an FAL with 5.56 before. I think I have like 2,000 kills on this gun, like the 50.63 Para, which is why I have 5.56 unlocked, but I don't believe I've really used it. Damn, I just mowed those guys down. But yeah, from what I can see, the damage is basically the same, at least in close range. I guess it's a little worse at long range. That guy almost just fell off. The recoil, I assume, is a little lower. Yeah, wow, like barely lower, okay. At least on the 50.63, since it has kind of a unique recoil profile. This is actually pretty solid. I gotta use this more, too. So, yeah, if an FNC was actually in-game, I feel like it would have more, like, generic recoil than the weird recoil the 50.63 has. But other than that, I feel like the rest of the stats would pretty much be the same. So yeah, that's pretty much all for this video. See ya.